But that being said, like I do recommend if you are coming out for the summer, you do have to have a work to learn mindset, like Robert Kiyosaki talks about. Because the great thing about this job, which is also the hardest thing about it, is that sales will reveal your weakness. If it takes a certain amount of hard work, grit, emotional resilience, obviously sales and communication skills to be able to make it at sales. And if you come out and you're not very good at those things, you will learn very quickly that, you're just, well, the harsh thing I like to say is, let's say you only make 3 sales a week, which is, I don't know, maybe $10 an hour. Then the harsh thing is, well, sorry, you're only worth $10 an hour. And this job has just shown you front and circle that you're not actually that good at this, you don't have this skill set yet. And you can either kind of wind yourself and say, sales isn't for me, or you can recognize that these strengths that are needed to do this job are inversely weaknesses that will follow you around for the rest of your life, unless you use the boot camp to face it here and now. And so, yeah, I mean, that is the core of what commission-based is that you get paid exactly what you're worth. And on the low end, that can kind of suck because you might only be worth $10 an hour. But on the flip side, the example I always give is if you're working at McDonald's, flipping hamburgers for $20 an hour, and you flip twice as many hamburgers as the guy next to you, how much money do you make? Exactly. But me, like I've always outcompeted and outperformed everyone I've always worked with, and I want to get paid what I'm freaking worth. And if I'm only worth $5 an hour selling pest control, pay me $5 an hour, but you better believe I'm going to learn how to make 50. The beautiful part about it is that it is uncapped in what you can earn.
Well, for me, my first summer, I made just about 20K, 170 sales, whatnot. And then that, after seeing what, I did my first summer, I used that as a launching a propeller to go into my second summer where I made 120. And I realized.
So you made 120 grand in the summer.
Yeah. So in my second summer, I went from 20K to 120K.
And so you 5x'd, or no, you 6x'd how much you made.
Mm-hmm. And it was really just about that same example. Cool, I can go out, but you better believe that I'm going to figure out how to make, 100 an hour. And I did. I was like, cool, if I do this, and I really habitualized every action that I was doing, who I was talking with, when I was getting on the doors, and said, cool, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and really just honed my craft. That way, when I was out there, I was productive and I could make the most of my time.
100%. Well, and I think that's sort of one of the challenges we have in running a door-to-door program is talking about how much money can you make, because there's a lot of companies in the industry who they have lots of reps who do go out and make 50, 100, 200, 300 grand. I've made 300 grand in the summer knocking on doors. And so it's 100% possible. But then I think because of that, there are a lot of companies that overpromise what you can make. And so it kind of makes our job, in having these conversations difficult, because you don't want to overpromise how much somebody can make, because the truth is there are reps who come out and they last 2 days and then they quit. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just too hard for them. And there are reps that work hard all summer long and might only make 7 or 8 grand. I found that if the average guy will make between 15 and 20 grand, if they put in a solid, 12 to 14 weeks and they actually follow our training program, it's pretty easy and normal. You could say the average is to make 15 to 20 grand, but I can't promise anyone anything. That's the downside of commission base, is that you may fall on your face and quit in a week. You may come out, work hard and just make average money. But on the flip side, the potential is uncapped. And it's sort of an ethical dilemma as recruiters, though, because if I actually think one of the things that helps success and helps reps be successful is raising their vision on what's possible. One of my favorite quotes from not Rich Dad Poor Dad, but Think and Grow Rich, which they say that book's made more millionaires than any other book, is that the only limitations we set up are in our own mind. And it's applying that principle that helped me go from selling 120 accounts my first summer to 1,200 accounts my fifth summer. But it also makes it complicated when talking about this, because if you're a college student and you go to tell your parents, hey, this company says that we can make 50 grand in the summer, they're going to tell you it's a scam. But the reality is you can make as much money in this job as you want to, and it's not everybody can do it. But at the same time, I think everybody can, and that's why it's complicated. And
For me, when I came into it my first year in 2021, like everything was laid out for us, the whole training program. I was fortunate to have you as one of my leaders, and I was learning from one of the best. I'll just say that now, and I'm so thankful that I had that opportunity to learn from you. And so I definitely believe that helped me. And so there's two sides of it. There's, yes, you have the resources. I had all the training programs, but there was also the other side where it takes me and how much time I'm going to put into it. So you did your part in giving the resources, being there, helping me. But there's also that other component where how bad do I want it? Do I want to go out and make 20K? Because I came into the summer and I had memorized, I sounded like a robot. I had memorized every single word of the pitch and everything. And so really, how much are you going to put into? And that's cool, having that ownership of saying, yeah, this is on me. Like, how much am I going to put into it?
Well, and I think that's why, the closest thing you could compare doing the boot camp to is almost like starting your own business. It 100% falls on your shoulders, and you could say high risk, high reward, but I actually don't think it's that high of a risk. And that's why we market this mostly to college students to come and take a 3 or 4 month break from their college. You don't have to pay anything to work for us. You don't have to risk putting in $50,000 to start your own business. You just go out and you knock doors and you create income out of nothing. It's, putting your knuckles to the door every single day. And then especially when you compare it to college, like you pay them what, $50,000 a year, $30,000 a year to graduate and maybe make 60 to 70 grand. Where it's like, I guarantee, like if somebody comes out and gives me 4 years of hard work and dedication, like I know they're going to be killing it, making 6 figures. You did it your second summer, obviously, but it took me, I think, it took me 5 years to clear 6 figures. And I kind of had a dramatic transition. I went from making 80 grand in a summer to 300K in a summer. And that was between my 4th and my 5th year. And that's where I think you need to like be patient with yourself if you are going to do this job. I think, it's not like learning to ride a bike or play golf, it's not like learning to ride a bike or fly a kite where like once you get up and you get going, you kind of just got it. It's more like learning to play an instrument or learning to play golf, in that it takes time and that you're going to struggle a lot and there might be some peaks and some valleys. But for instance, like if you were to go do a summer internship in playing golf or maybe playing basketball, and at the end of that summer, you weren't ready to qualify for the NBA, I don't think you would think that the summer basketball camp wasn't worth it. It's just that learning how to be in the NBA is something that takes a lifetime to pursue. And I think that's a good comparison for if you come out in a month and you're not great at sales, well, that doesn't mean you quit. It just means that it's something that's hard to learn. But I think it's the most important lesson to learn, even if you don't want to be an entrepreneur. And the example I'll often use is, let's say you come out your first summer and your first 4 weeks, you're not very good. Maybe you only make $2,000 your first 4 weeks, but you don't give up. You're like, nope, this is a skill. I just haven't learned it yet. And your last 4 weeks of the summer, you end up making 10 grand. Okay. And overall, you only made 12 grand. You might be like, well, that's a failure. Most guys in the office cleared 20, 30 grand for the summer. Why did I even come out? But your last 4 weeks, you proved that you are someone who could make 10 grand in a month, which means if you come 4 months the next summer, you're going to guaranteed make 40 grand. But everyone always seems to magically double their numbers the second summer. And we'll use 6x your numbers, but even if they just slightly get better, clearing 50 grand their second summer, and that's still incredible. Like your second summer as a college student making 50 grand. And that's why it's a very realistic possibility with the boot camp to graduate debt free. And that is, one of our missions that is one of my missions, is to help as many people as possible at college graduate debt free. I'm hesitant talking about it because I don't want to like overpromise that, I don't want people to be here for the money. I want them to be here because of the learning experience. And I know if they're here for learning, that the money will naturally follow. But, if you commit to if you spend 2 to 3 to 4 years in door to door, you will be successful in this job and what you move on to.
Yeah. And it's really cool because like for me, I like to do other things people can't do or people that think is hard. And this job, it does go against the grain of what, everyone believes in society in terms of instant gratification, where if I'm not getting results within a couple days, then this isn't working out for me. But a lot of times, like how you were saying, like looking at the future, like you may not see these results this summer, but you're going to create a foundation that you're able to build on, whether, especially if you come out your second year, which is what I used. I built a solid foundation my first summer, these skills, I was learning the basics. And then the second summer, I used that to go in to clear six figures my second one. But I didn't make six figures my first summer. And if I would have stopped at, that first summer, I'd be like, well, I only made 20K. What the heck? But in using that, seeing the pension, because like you said, it's uncapped. There's no limit on how much you can make. It's how much do you want to put into it. But you're not always going to see those results right away. But like you said, if at the end of the summer you're making 100 an hour, you're worth 100 an hour, and that's what you can do the next summer.
I don't want to sugarcoat how hard this job can be. There's a reason that we decided to call it Bigfoot Sales Boot Camp, because it is like a boot camp. The example I often give, because I think virtually every rep ends up sitting on the curb, is here's a story of how it often goes for a guy who's struggling. Is usually there's like a beginner's luck, where the first few weeks there's just like a lot of hype, and if you do bad your first couple of weeks, you don't really give yourself a hard time because, well, you're new, so it doesn't matter. But you're a couple weeks in, maybe and usually people have a good streak where they'll have 3 or 4 good days in a row and they think, okay, I've got this. But then inevitably, 2, 3, 4 weeks into the summer, you don't sell for a day. And the next day you don't sell. And then on that third day, you've been out for a few hours and you're just like, why the heck am I here? It is difficult to communicate how mentally tough those moments can be when you want to sit on the curb. I think you can compare it to long distance running, where, I don't know, have you done quite a bit of long distance running? And when you're in high school, and it's like you'll have like a pain in your knee and you'll be telling yourself, that pain in my knee, that feels that feels bad. Like, it's not just like a good hurt. It's something that if I keep running on it, I'm going to damage myself forever. But that if you just you push through it, like it ends up going away. David Goggins says that when you think you're done, you're only actually about 40% of the way done. And that happens in this job, in that like your brain will just play tricks on you. And so that's something you have to ask yourself. Like, when you inevitably are sitting on the curb asking yourself, why am I here? And your brain starts going through like, okay, I'm making $0 an hour yesterday, the day before. I hate this job. Like, I don't want to do sales as a career. So why should I torture myself for the rest of the summer? It's not like I already can tell right now in this moment, even though it probably isn't true, but in this moment, I feel like I'm never going to do this job again. So why do I need to finish the summer? You call your mom, and your mom, of course, is like, well, honey, like they're the ones that convince you to go out there. They obviously just don't have their crap together. It's not your fault you can't do it. It's just, the sales isn't for everybody, or your mom gives you some weak excuse. And then you're just super in your head about why you're there. And I would say that, I had that moment probably 10 times my first summer, where you ask yourself, like, why am I here? And, I could go on for hours about why I think you should be there, but you have to be able to answer that question for yourself. And I don't want to sugarcoat how it is like a boot camp. The failure rate of, a lot of people compare door-to-door sales to like Bud's SEALs training, where most people just can't hack it. But that doesn't mean that it's not the most rewarding opportunity that there is.
Yeah, and well, the cool thing is, like, because of that experience, you're with all these other, guys or girls, 18 to 25 college students. You're all in the thick of it yourself. Like, you have this bonding culture experience that you're all going through it, and you all know exactly what it's like. That it, like, seeing your other guy go through it and with you, it just like has this, it is so hard, but like when you can have that bonding experience with somebody else, knowing that they're going through the same thing, you're not alone. Like, it is like there's that feeling of it's super hard, but then when you realize, oh man, my friend who I just dropped off, he's doing this exact same thing. It's just like, there's just like, how do you?
Well, it certainly helps, like, especially when it's like, if you're competitive, like for me, when I was going to college, my roommate the year before had sold pest control and had made like 40 grand. And we never really, worked together, but one of the reasons that made me go out my first summer was it bugged me that there was somebody my age who had gone out and made 40 grand in a summer. And this was, 12 years ago. And I think that is what helps being on the team when you're doing the boot camp for the summer is you see that there's 20 other guys on the team or however big your team is. And multiple of them are your age, on track to make 20, 50, 100 grand for the summer. Mm-hmm. And hopefully that gives you just enough of the competitive edge. And I'm hesitant to say that there are some people who should do door-to-door sales and some people that just shouldn't touch it. But if that is true, that you should definitely be someone who is a competitive-minded person. While I've had the debate a lot, there are some people that just shouldn't touch this job, and there's some people who are born for it. Lately, I just think there are such few opportunities to learn real willpower. I'm not saying that young generation people don't know how to work hard, but maybe they think that hard is 2 days at football practice, or hard is staying up all night studying for your exam. But it's like, what hard is? It's doing this day in and day out, week after week, and feeling and getting rejected, and wondering if you're ever going to make it. Like, I've never done anything more mentally tough than that. I would say that door-to-door sales is almost like an analogy of every worthy goal that you ever want to pursue. Like if you want to start a business, if you want to start a YouTube channel, if you want to write a book someday, it's going to be rejection. And the very few people persist through that trial of faith are the ones that arrive at the other side. And that's why I think the summer is such a perfect, almost risk-free opportunity to come and learn that skill set, which I think is the most important skill set in life, the ability to persevere and fail at something until you make it. But to be on a team and in a system where you're kind of just thrown into the middle of it. And like, if you go do big boot camp for the Army, like they've got their crap together and most people make it through. And I like to think that we've got the training and the support to help people learn that hardest of lessons.
Everyone has to start somewhere. Like, look at all the billionaires, millionaires that are like, they start at somewhere. Bill Gates started in his garage. Like if he didn't take that step to try it, or someone didn't, do it and get failure or rejection, you're never going to get to where you want to be if you don't take that step and fall. Like for me, like I snowboard and like I love snowboarding, and I'm never going to learn this trick if I don't try it, and I'm going to fail and I'm going to fall, but it's just part of the process to learn to become better. And same thing with selling. Like you're going to get rejected, but the only way for you to learn how to overcome this and to sell this, particular person or neighborhood, is to fail and to see what you did wrong so you can go and be successful.
Generally, the first step we ask people to do is get a copy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Regardless of whether you decide that coming and selling for the summer is worth it to you, get that book. It teaches all the right mindset that you need. And then if you don't come, the book is life-changing, and it kind of sets the expectations for what you can expect. Get a copy of that book, start reading it, hop on a call with one of us so we can answer any questions that you have. And thanks for taking the time to listen.